Okay, we're on day 2 of the quest to 2424. I did not finish reviewing all the games on video, but I did do them on my own and added to my study. I didn't sleep much last night, basically not at all, and when that happens, I usually play very slowly. Like my reaction times are delayed, a third of a second every move, and in Bullet that really adds up. So I'm probably going to speak a bit less today. I'm probably not going to play as much because when you don't sleep, you are likely to play quite badly. So we are playing Fabio I'm, strange name. If you're going to claim you're an IM, I would capitalize the second M. So you got a Caracan. Let's click the pieces. Yep, you can already see having trouble moving things. Queen C2 is the main move here. Okay. Are they going slow or is my video delayed? Am I having internet issues? I hope I'm not having internet issues. That would be quite disconcerting. So I sometimes click this, see what my ping is. My ping is good. So that probably means I'm still connected and likely to start off with a nonsense win. Anyways, the point of c3 is to prepare bishop d3 by defending d4 in advance, because if they just play bishop d3, I can take the pawn. Then I play bishop d6, they play bishop d3, I castle, and they can play queen c2, and this pawn's a real problem. So I guess after this game, I'll head over to the study I have. I may as well open that in a new window now. Or just go to it after. All right, brilliant win by me. So we should input this into the study. We go to openings, and we go to black, Caro-Kann, main line, not various. This is Caro-Kann, main line, c3, bishop d3, queen c2. Typed it wrong. The work on this notes are for lines which I just don't have a line against. So we have e4, c6, d4, d5, knight c3, takes, takes. My move is knight f6 here, accepting the doubled pawns, but getting easy development. And then c3, as you'll see, is the move most popular with masters and scores very well. Bishop d6, bishop d3, castles, queen c2. And here, after rook e8, knight e2, you'll notice white scores a really high percentage. After knight e2, white is scoring 54.5%. Okay, white is scoring an exactly normal percentage. But against a lot of moves, black's in trouble. King h8 is a kind of clever scheme because if the pawn is taken, maybe the bishop can be trapped. H6 ends up being a little passive. The knight finds really good homes near our king, and black often just gets cramped. G6 gives a hook, and white can just play h4, h5, and black has a lot of trouble dealing with it. And so this position was thought to be pretty bad until h5 was found. And h5 is this interesting move that sort of threatens just to play like h4, h3, and also means the knight can't come to that square that is so problematic in other lines without being chased immediately. The pawn you might think is a weakness, though often if white plays h3, g4 to try to open lines, it can play h4 and kind of keep them closed. I'm not great at explaining why this move is as good as it is. And I feel, as I continue to play this line, hopefully I get a better feel for it. Black's going to continue with normal moves like knight bd7, knight f8, bishop e6. White usually castles queenside, and then one idea that comes up a bunch is bishop c7 and queen d5. Puts pressure on a2. They play b3 often, at least in my experience, and then we can play b5, a5, a4, and often our attack is quicker than white's. I think the other thing I want to note, because we haven't gotten this line yet, so I'm not going to input more until I see what moves I'm actually facing, is when white castles kingside, the h2 bishop is really strong, and we're often willing to trade the c8 bishop. And as we may have seen or may not have, often that includes sacrifices on h3. When they castle kingside, this is our good bishop, this is the bishop willing to trade. If they castle queenside, then this bishop comes here. It's the bishop really pressuring their queenside position. So we should look to trade this bishop if we have to trade a bishop. And if we play bishop here and they play knight f4, obviously they can't do so now because they'd have to worry about pin stuff. We'd take, they'd take, we'd play bishop b3 trick, and we'd win the queen. But if at some point, say they've castled and they play knight f4 when our bishop's on e6, and we have a choice which bishop to keep. Do we let them take on e6? Do we lose tempo retreating, or do we take it? We should usually take it, because if they've castled kingside, this bishop often doesn't have much point. So okay, let's play a couple more games. That first one wasn't a real one, but I hope I said some interesting things. Okay, didn't set the rating requirements very well. Okay, this nonsense line. I'm just gonna develop my pieces. Try to push c5. I think that seems useful. Maybe rook b1, b4. They're shouting outside. Someone is displeased at some turn of events. Okay, this does not seem very threatening. I'm going to play rook e1 and then bishop f1, bishop g2. My queen still defends the knight on f3. Now if my knight moves, a queen trade is offered. So maybe at an opportunistic moment I'll move it. If they play e4, I have knight d4. I'll just take that knight, win further time against their queen. Maybe play knight d5 in the near future. Hitting c7, maybe there could be forks on e7. Maybe I want queen g4. That seems like a good square, because generally speaking, if your queen can come out and not get harassed, then you want to activate your queen early. But the problem with so many openings, and the reason people advocate don't bring out your queen early, is because the queen doesn't have stable squares early. There are lots of other pieces on the board. I'm threatening bishop d5 and trying to trade queens. There are lots of other pieces on the board, and so queens often can't find that stable home. Maybe if rook c7, I'll play bishop e6. Okay, now not needed. And if that queen suddenly does have stable homes, well, then a lot of good can happen. Right, we're just going to defend the pawn. I also have to play faster, going too slow. They're sort of threatening g3 and to bring rooks in. Okay, now they're not. Okay, now it's all about going fast enough. They play g3, fine. Okay, so I want to play people a little higher rated than that, but 2 for 2. I'm not going to look over that opening. It's a fairly nonsense opening, and I just developed my pieces semi-randomly. Okay, so we have an exchange. I like knight c6 here, force them to play c3, then queen c7 stops bishop f4, and now I think I can break with e5. They can't play bishop f4 because of knight d3, and I'm just going to try to bring my pieces to active squares. I now threaten knight d3 again, so they felt obliged to trade. I'm going to keep my bishop. Not sure where to put my other bishop, so I'll develop my other pieces first. I guess bishop d7, maybe try to play knight e4. I'm maybe hanging a pawn here after knight c6 and knight d4. Let's make sure I'm on a b2 at the end. If they try to win a pawn. If they play f3, I can play knight f6. Let's go for the knight. Look at f2. Can I take f2? Probably shouldn't. Why am I looking at this? Bishop f8. So we're losing a pawn here. And we're down on the clock. It's a huge problem. Make sure we control at least one file. Hanging b7, but I have rook b8, so maybe I'm not. Maybe try to play b5, b4. Right, that doesn't do a lot now. Not sure where I'm going. Can I sneak behind them somehow? Not clear. Maybe pretend to activate the bishop. They've been going a bit slowly. They should have played knight h6, I think. Make a check. Of course, this is a lost endgame, but maybe they have to worry about something. I should have played a4. a4 was really good there. All right, we'll go for the pawn. And lucked into a stalemate. Okay, That was sort of intended, but actually, as I was just saying, when they broke with this pawn, I can counter break, right? If I play a4, they take this pawn, I suddenly have this passer, okay, their king catches it. All right, it wasn't a big deal. But often when someone breaks this way without having stopped the kind of counter break with this double take synergy, if they take this one, I get a pass pawn this way, and if they take this one, I get a pass pawn this way, which actually gets to the mate end faster than theirs. Here it didn't work because on a4, takes, they just have king d4. But would have been a better way to play it. Very lucky to get a draw there. Vin Vin, I've played them many a time. But I don't think ever while playing this opening. Alright. Cannot sack. Probably should play bishop f5. Yeah, now my bishop's a little silly because it does not want to retreat to g6. But these pawns are usually fine. I'm not too concerned with these pawns. Maybe I'll play, okay, queen d6, knight d7, get my knight in, trade a pair of knights, try to play g6, I guess, just make everything feel stable. Knight d2 is something to keep in mind in case their pieces go to funny squares. Sometimes it'll be a fork. All right, f7's defended. Let's play queen here. Hint at rook e5 and knight f3. All right, good rejoinder. Okay, I think they're getting the better of me. Yeah, because I hung f7. Okay. But my pieces are still pretty good. We're going to play knight f6. Hit the queen. Double on this file. Totally missed that. Do I want to trade a pair of rooks? Maybe. Not sure. Try to play rook g4 and check them for a bit. Maybe their king will move to a funny square and I'll have tricks. That was not the funny square I needed. Ooh, that's ugly now. They can play a queen f6 and are probably in a winning endgame. Alright, gotta go fast. Suspect they'll check. No, now I just hung another pawn. Okay, it's all going very badly. They might be able to play queen takes knight and be winning. Yep. Probably shouldn't have done it that way. And they got me. All right, well done, Vin Vin. 2.5 out of 4, though that first win doesn't really count. Played that one pretty badly, I think, but, you know, we're running on no sleep at all. Definitely got at least an hour, so, you know, definitely in good mental shape. What went wrong that one? I should look at that one. That one was actually a relevant opening. So we'll check the studies after this game, maybe. Or just look at the game quickly and then I'll update the study later. All right, of course this is poor, but we can take the c5 pawn sometimes. Then we should come back to avoid queen a5 checks. All right, they let me play e4 without taking en passant, which they really do want to do. My knight's very out of play, so I'm going to slowly try to get it back, maybe knight f1 to g3. Okay, everything's currently defended. e4 looks scary, but d4 hangs at the end. Let's kick the knight. Then play knight g3. Push him back, maybe knight h4, and then knight f5. Okay, definitely get rid of that bishop. Control the e4 square. If they never have an e4 break, if we can plump pieces on e4, it becomes very hard for them to activate. And they are down a pawn, so I feel very good about this position. Maybe get the bishop to g3. Seems good there. Just keep controlling e4. Try not to give them hooks. Knight c5 at some point might be useful, but I'm not really looking for it. Trying to come back to g3. Fine with these pawns. Maybe rook b1, threaten some kind of invasion. Play like rook b3, the other rook to b1. Okay, maybe the c pawn can run. As if knight c5. I have to take back, okay, just make sure everything's kind of under lock and key. If rook f4, queen e2, or I could take on e5 actually. I should have taken on e5. Their bishop's very out of the game. their queen almost trapped? Almost. Try to play rook a7. I might have bishop d5 coming sometimes. Ooh, I missed that. That is a problem. Let's play rook a7, threaten rook g7, h7, and mate. This gets rid of their queen. And I think this opposite bishop's... I needed to defend that pawn. I should have played c5 when I had the chance. All right, we did get there. I think that's 3.5 out of 5. Maybe I'll play one more today. I'm up slightly on the rating into the 2370s. Love to hit 2380, especially on a day. All right, we're transposing into a French kind of by mistake. This is not part of my current intended repertoire, but I do not mind this position. Play b6. And I guess rook b8. All right, they have h4, which is annoying. We'll try to trade off their key bishop. Okay, I'm just going to try to trade off potential attacking pieces and contest the e-file. I'm glad my bishop can contest the e5 square, which is kind of their key access point. Do I want rook e6 threatening to double? Probably not. Maybe rook e7. Huh. Okay. My king comes to d6. Now they maybe should play rook e1 because I don't have rook e8. I do not know where they're going, so I'm just going to poke and prod. I feel like I'm playing rook e4 next turn, but I don't actually know what it does. Almost mouse slipped rook e3. Okay. I think this will just make a peaceful draw. Okay. Maybe I get my king in? Any chance I can win this endgame? Yeah, they should not have gone there, because now my king has access. If they take on c4, if they play c4, I just ignore it, and they can't get through. Yeah, I think that's important. So if they play c4, and I take this way, okay, they can't get through. But if they play c4 and I take this way, and they play b5, I have to take this way, and if they can hold that up when I'm low on time, sometimes you're going to miss that. Of course, here, everything is well covered, but just, and I had a lot of time somehow, not sure how. I assumed I was down to like 11 seconds. But always got to be careful about what to do on the break and making sure, in bullet specifically, in a normal game, that break's not scary at all. You just take it and there's nothing. Especially because in a normal game, you see someone's hand moving over the board, so you know when they're going to push that extra pawn and when you should take it, while an online bullet moves appear out of the ether. But I think it is important to be a little careful about like which way to take this if you're going to take it, and just not having to be careful too many moves. And maybe I'm wrong. I probably should take it immediately, because if they play this and then leave it for a couple turns and then take here, I have to always be hovering over that, and that can be tricky. Was there anything to say in the opening? No, because I'm not intending to actually allow this. Against knight c3, I should probably be playing knight f6 or something like that. But I'm pre-moving at this point, and I'm not going to worry too much about this opening. I do not mind the French with knight d7 and knight f6. I do think bishop g5 is a really pressuring line, and I always forget whether I think h6 or bishop e7 immediately is more threatening. I think h6 is good if g5... Sorry, h6 is good if I then threaten to take on e4. And bishop e7 is good if I don't, but I'm not sure why. I don't know, ignore me. Let's go back to the prior game. That was a little more interesting for checking in on. No, not that one. The Caro-Kann one, yeah. So, oh no, knight g5, that's not an important line. Black's just better. Though actually, I should know where to put my, yeah, this was the game I meant. But in this one, I should know what should be my exact development scheme, because I do see this a lot, and I kind of play h6 and then semi-random moves. So h6 looks totally fine. knight f3, and then where do I want the bishop? Is it f5? Is it g4? The computer likes just e6. That is so strange to me. Like, why not get the bishop out when you have the opportunity? You can see humans, 20 out of 22 games are bringing out the bishop, and we have very good players. 25, 2600s playing this, including Viktor Korchnoi. What did Korchnoi play? Knight d7 and e6. Huh. So one of the few examples of doing something different is the mighty Viktor Korchnoi, who, according to the computer, is just better here. Looking at it visually, this doesn't seem obvious at all to me, right? We still have this problem bishop, so we're going to play b6. Ooh. The bishop has moved from c4. So yeah, I don't think they should move it from c4 because that gives our bishop a much more useful square. And we actually don't want to play knight b6 really because we need to play b6 to get the bishop out. So I think bishop b3 here is probably a kind of poor move. But it's still interesting black's equal, and I think the reason has to be that this knight's bad. If the knight comes to c3, then the pawn can't properly support its companion or advance aggressively. The knight doesn't have access to f4, and if the knight goes to g3, it is no kind of further points that are all that important. Sometimes controlling e4 is really important, but black's knight's never invading there. So actually, let's follow this out a little, just out of curiosity. Castles, b6, c3, say bishop b7, knight g3. Yeah, the knight doesn't really find a home. Castles. In these structures, black often wants to castle however white does, because white has a little more space, so it's easier for them to shove pawns on opposite sides of the board. Queen e2 looks normal, and then c5, and black's just fine. Yeah. So maybe there's no need to get the bishop out. And I didn't mean to close that window. I did think that it was kind of weird because I play bishop g4, and whenever they play h3, I don't want to take. And if I play bishop h5 and they play bishop d3, suddenly anytime they play g4, they're ruining my pawns. This is a disastrous pawn change, which is why in the game after bishop d3, I played e6, they went h3, and I thought I have to go bishop f5, because this pawn structure is a lot less bad than the pawn structure where I have to take back this way. Oh wait, queen a5 check. That's a tactic that, as a player trying to play the Caro-Kann, I should be more aware of. Yeah, that would have been nice to see. So there's another reason to play bishop f5 instead, but even after takes, this is still much better than taking back on g6 with the pawn, where I have this pawn isolated, these pawns is doubled and awkward. Okay, and I had that one other game I wanted to go back and check. Because we're out here trying to learn. How long have we been going? 20 minutes. The other game was Lunshock, where I somehow snuck a draw. Lucky, yeah. So I play knight c6, horse c3, queen c7, and then they played h3. And the question is, should I go for e5 immediately? And I guess there's no rush. So bishop g4 is my idea. White's idea is they really want bishop f4. So to prepare that, they kind of need knight e2 now, and then bishop f4. But my idea is on knight e2, I'm going to play bishop g4 pinning the knight. And if they ever play f3 to break that pin, this diagonal gets a lot weaker for them. I immediately hit them with e5, and often there's going to be stuff coming on this diagonal, and their king feels really awkward. So h3 makes some sense. Oops, not now. h3 here makes some sense to prevent bishop g4. And I thought, okay, this is my opportunity to go for e5. But I can also play with knight f6 and e6, but I want to get my bishop out. My problem here is my bishop doesn't have a square. So g6 makes sense, right? g6 can prepare bishop f5, and much like the last line, these doubled pawns on the f-file are not that big a concern. It is not the end of the world. And I bet if we follow out the g6 line, g6, knight f3. Yeah, bishop f5 is even played immediately there, and black scores very well. Bishop f5, ef5. This pawn structure is just not so bad. The computer doesn't love it, but in practical terms, we have the g-file. Say some normal-looking move. Black's going to play rook g8, bishop d6 is easily just better against normal-looking moves. White has to kind of immediately put pressure. So maybe my line against h3 should be g6. So after e5, d-e5, knight e5, bishop b5 check can be played. They played knight e2, and I should have probably grabbed. Unclear. Knight f6 looks okay. Bishop f4, bishop d6, takes, knight d2, castles, knight f3, bishop d6, castles. All of this is normal. Rook e8, knight d4, d7, queen c2. And here I should have just played g6. I'm a little better. I have the two bishops, but it's not obvious where my access points are. So I think this is one of those positions where the computer will say black is better, but in practical play, it's fairly neutral feeling. And I immediately was a lot worse. So g6 is an interesting idea to keep in mind. That in this position, they have specifically made two moves that counter this bishop. And so my question should be how to respond to that bishop. And I was looking for the e5 break, which is typical here, but I haven't induced the weakness on the dark squares like I would have after f3 when they play h3. So okay, I'm feeling enthused. Let's play one more chess game. I'd like the range to be a little smaller when I click this by mistake, but of course I prefer to just do the quick pairing method. Alright, play in English. I've been black basically every game today. Until now. So if d4, that's a line I really need to check. Okay, so I'm going to play h3, and bishop d3. Play against their bishop the same way we were just talking about. Try to not give it a square. Okay, I'll just develop. Can I ever throw an e6? Probably not. Here, you can win a tempo. Maybe bishop b1 coming. Okay, so f4, f5, f6 kind of has to be my activity here. So how can I rearrange my pieces such that that's possible? Okay, this went well. I was trying to play queen d3, step the queen out of the way with tempo. They play g6, and then I come with f4, f5, and I don't think I care about b2. But alright, that was too quick. Oh, we're over 2380 though. Let's end the day over 2380. Kind of a miracle. Did not sleep, but gained some points. Today is Thursday in my challenge to reach 2424, and I need to reach it by Monday. So I have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday afternoon. And I will record all the games I play, and hopefully we make it. We are up 23 points on where I started, and we'll see where we end up.